Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Let's do a deeper dive on this Snake Eyes film in light of the death of Charlie Kirk. Again, a lot of people have covered this topic, but the thing is, most people aren't that good at connecting the dots. And we're going to do it properly in this one. And I might even end up doing another video because I have only watched the opening few minutes of this movie. And I want to see more of a certain character who they keep showing in the background. That character is supposed to be based on Donald Trump. In the short video I made this morning, I heard from another person in the community say that Nicolas Cage's character is partly based on Donald Trump, which it sort of kinds through because he's very flamboyant. But it's actually another character they keep showing in the background, and it's amazing. It's amazing the way they sync all of this stuff up. There's so many mind-blowing things about this. Anyway, we're going to cover this. I'm going to eventually watch this whole movie when I get the time, and probably won't be till this weekend. Sunday is the day where I get a little bit of time to actually breathe. I mean, if you guys don't know my schedule, it's a super grind, and then on Sundays, sometimes I just get a minute to do something else. But yeah, I would like to watch this all the way through. Again, if you haven't heard about this yet, if somehow this is the first time you're hearing about this film, Snake Eyes, it begins with an assassination of a Charles Kirkland. And at the beginning of the film, the assassination happens at a boxing match, a super hype boxing match between a black man and a Hispanic man. Keep in mind, right after Charlie Kirk died, we had one of the biggest boxing events in recent decades between Canelo Alvarez, a Hispanic man, and Terrence Crawford, a black man. And, of course, Mike Tyson was sitting ringside, and it was on the anniversary of Tupac dying, who got shot after a Mike Tyson fight. Keep in mind, this movie came out not long after the death of Tupac. And don't forget how Tupac ended up on that Machiavelli album cover where he was martyred, and it came out on Remember the 5th of November, which is the day in the history the Jesuits tried to assassinate King James. And Trump was doing all the King James rituals back in the 2016 election, including having the convention in Cleveland and the real King James's, or LeBron Stadium, who won the finals on the real King James's birthday. There's so many things here, but anyway, the point is, this movie begins with an assassination of Charles Kirkland, not far off from Charlie Kirk, just like Charlie Kirk's name is Charles James Kirk. And they told us that Charlie Kirk was killed by Tyler Robinson. In this case, the assassination happens in a boxing match where Tyler, the executioner, takes a flop. And meaning the fight was a hoax. And he hit the mat acting, which reminds us of what happened to Trump on July 13th, 2024. It was WWE theatrics, no doubt about it. And you know who fell for it? The people who are the most gullible people in the world, the religious people. And notice it's the religious ones eating up this story as well and going along with all the BS being fed to them. What else is new? As I've educated about since forever, that without religion, the indoctrination system that is religion, people's minds are not trained to believe. The word with lie right in the middle, believe, bullshit. And we'll look at what the tagline is for this movie because believe is right in it. But yeah, Tyler the Executioner and an assassination of Charles Kirkland. And you can see the date of the fight in the movie. Again, it is blurry. So it's hard to see for sure if that's September 10th or September 19th. If it's the 19th, it's not far off. Remember, Charlie Kirk founded Turning Point USA in the year he turned 19. King Charles and his son were reunited for the first time in 19 months, the day of the Charlie Kirk shooting. But there are T-shirts online for this movie, and it's clear to see what it says on the T-shirt, and it does say September 10th. So the day of Charles Kirkland's assassination in the movie, it does look like it is more likely September 10th, unless for whatever reason the T-shirts going with the movie are a misprint. Regardless, all of this is so tight. And again, Snake Eyes is the film. Here we are in the year of the snake, and we're gonna see just how connected this is to the year of the snake. It's mind-blowing. And don't forget, just Donald Trump and all of his snake poem storytelling that he did for years leading up to this year. You knew I was the snake, but you let me in. I mean, how many times has he told that to audiences? So let's go through this. Again, this is a screenshot of the t-shirts that are out there for the movie. Tyler versus Ruiz, September 10th, 98. Funny enough, that Tyler versus Ruiz equals 60, like Charlie Kirk, like Donald Trump, in this movie set in Atlantic City, which is Trump Town, where Trump hosted a lot of big boxing matches back in the day in Atlantic City. And again, one of the main characters in this movie is literally based on Donald Trump, per the director. In light of Charlie Kirk dying at 31 and it being synced with this movie, the word snake is 31. Remember, the last person he was talking to was Hunter. Hunter equals 31. The word college is 31. Activist is 31. That's his resume, right? He's the activist who goes to colleges to persuade students to become conservative. And if you're new here, this practice of coding numbers into words, it comes from Kabbalah. There's 4 base ciphers of the English language. It's elementary. It's the alphabetic order. A is 1 up to Z is 26. It's the alphabetic order with numerology applied. It's the reverse alphabetic order. Z is 1 back to A is 26. And it's the reverse alphabetic order with numerology applied. Think about the death in Utah in light of this snake connection, right? Snake 31, snake 50 and 14 like Utah. Charlie Kirk born on the 14th of October. Trump born on the 14th of June. 4 months after Trump for the number of death. When this movie Snake Eyes came out, Charlie Kirk was at the tail end of being 4 years old, the number of death. And shoot, I accidentally closed something I did not mean to close. I got a new, I don't want to forget this. What day in history did Pope Leo XIV, this will become a lot more clear by the end, become a deacon? We're going to come back to this, how Pope Leo the 14th from Chicago, pretty much like Charlie Kirk. Also like the executioner in this movie, Tyler the executioner. He's from Chicago in real life. We'll get to all this. But we're going to talk about how Charlie Kirk died 4 days before the first American Pope's birthday, who's pretty much from the same city as him, and how it was on the 44th anniversary of him becoming a deacon that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Of course, 44 is the execution number. Execution equals 44, like shooting, like kill. Charlie Kirk died on the kill date for the month of September, the date with 44 numerology. But yeah, notice this movie, go back to this movie. Not only was he 4 years old, the number of death, it came out 68 days before his birthday. They're talking about all the assassinations, right? The year of assassinations in U.S. history was 68, 1968. MLK killed on 4/4, and then Bobby Kennedy killed on 6/6. And there's more to this, but 68 days before Charlie Kirk's birthday, this movie came out. As we know, his whole death was synced with Trump. Donald John Trump, 68. CIA, 68. 68, again, the year of years. It's the year the whole plan went into motion for 9/11. 911 made the national emergency dialing code. World Trade Center construction began. Boeing debuted their jumbo jetliners. George W. Bush got out of Yale in Skull and Bones. 9/11 factored into Charlie Kirk's death because the arrest was made that day. And for the first time since 9/11 happened, it wasn't the news this year. We didn't talk about 9/11 in the news. It was all about Charlie Kirk and the manhunt. And Kash Patel and the 11,000 calls made that supposedly led to the arrest, when in reality, none of those calls helped out with the arrest, did they? Because the way the arrest was made was the father of the shooter took him into jail, supposedly a pastor. But yeah, 68. And don't forget, caskets go 6 feet deep and are 8 feet long, right? Now, 54, as we know, huge number. Just with the cabal. When I went on Ground Zero with Clyde Lewis and talked about this ritual, we talked about 54 in the ritual. Turns out this movie came out 54 days before, or excuse me, not before, 54 days after Trump's birthday. And we're going to look at where Canelo Alvarez factors in with this. The big boxer who was the favorite for the match, who lost to Terrence Crawford just days after the Charlie Kirk shooting. But yeah, again, Charlie Kirk had "Prove Me Wrong" on his tent, which has that 54 phrase. Again, like Jesuit order. Again, the Jesuits, their headquarters is the Church of the Jesuit, Building 54. Georgetown was established by John Carroll, whose name equals 54. When he was 54 years old, the Jesuits at their peak had 54 universities in the U.S., and so on and so forth. RFK Jr., right-hand man to Trump, born in 54. Georgetown Prep's where he went. The university established by a 54-year-old John Carroll. So we'll get to how Canelo Alvarez equals 54, and the shooting came 54 days after his birthday, because, again, there's a lot of parallels with that boxing match and what happens in this movie. The favorite loses in the movie. The favorite lost in this fight. With regards to the Jesuits in the Latin, a.k.a. Jewish, a.k.a. Agrippa's key cipher, Jesuit orders 1223. They're saying the official time of Charlie Kirk's assassination was 12:23 p.m. local time. So Jesuit order does have that 1223 connection. That's the 200th prime number. Like Trump's birthday leaves 200 days left in the year. But yeah, let's come back up to Year of the Snake. It has the 153 and 72 like Jesuit order. Remember the ritual RFK Jr. did with the snake last year on July 2nd, 7-2. He put out the video, RFK Jr. the snake. His whole swearing in process for, the health minister started on the first day of the Year of the Snake. RFK Jr. equals 72. But notice, Year of the Snake also equals 225. This is all synced up with the movie Snake Eyes. Look at what day the Charlie Kirk assassination was. The 225th day of the Year of the Snake. And then the 63 should stand out because the day it happened, we pointed out how it was 63 days from the Superior General's birthday, and where 63 factored in with JFK. If you missed my work yesterday on the shooting at the ICE facility in Dallas, that was 307 days from the JFK assassination anniversary, which is the 63rd prime. Again, similar story, a rifle on a rooftop with etchings on the bullets. The shooter's name equaled 35, like JFK, number 35, killed on I-35. But yeah, 225th day of the Year of the Snake, the Charlie Kirk assassination happens. Charlie Kirk Turning Point USA was founded on June 5th, which is Ronald Reagan's death anniversary. It's also the day RFK was shot in 68, right? So just from the RFK, and keep in mind, Ronald Reagan was shot also, right? So at least so we're told. But from RFK getting shot on June 5th, if you don't know this about Robert Kennedy, let me just show you this real quick. Robert Kennedy, 156, June 5th, the 156th day of the year. What day did he die? 6-6. Robert Kennedy, 66 with numerology applied. And don't forget, the assassination attempt on Trump was the 195th day of the leap year. And because of that assassination, RFK Jr. was granted Secret Service protection by Joe Biden. He didn't get it until that moment. And don't forget the fireman who was killed, his name equaled 195. The CIA's motto equals 195. Again, CIA 68. The world's a stage. Anyway. This thing did happen 63 days after RFK's anniversary of being shot. And I guess that's not that important of a detail. Yeah, Ambassador Hotel has the Gematria 153 where RFK was shot as well. Don't forget when RFK Jr. got in the race. The date he got in the race was April 5th, 2023. A date can be written 5-4, and it was 144 days after the Superior General's birthday, Arturo Sosa. And you can go back and watch my video from that day. I said this foreshadows assassinations to come on the campaign trail, which will end on November 5th, the anniversary of the Jesuits trying to assassinate King James, when King James did the rituals, or Trump did the rituals with King James back in 2016. And sure enough, we've had some assassination stories. I thought there'd be more than one, just like there was more than one in 68. So yeah, and again, just most recently, 63 days from the Superior General's birthday and the Year of the Snake. And don't forget how it factors in with Buffalo, too, because McKinley was killed in Buffalo, and the shooting of McKinley was the 25th president, replaced by Teddy Roosevelt. McKinley was number 25. Teddy Roosevelt was the youngest VP nominee ever until J.D. Vance, who was picked in Milwaukee, which is where Teddy Roosevelt was shot. But McKinley was killed in Buffalo, and he died on September 14th, 4 days from the Charlie Kirk death anniversary. And yeah, so anyway, there's also an angle there with the 63 in that. And by the way, where Lincoln was shot, the actor who Tyler, the executioner, the boxer in this movie, his character name is Lincoln Tyler. The theater that Lincoln was shot in, Ford's Theater, that theater opened in 1863. So JFK's assassination was 100 years after that theater opened. 63, if you write the Illuminati, it equals 63. Remember, the Illuminati was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt May 1st, 1776, just for the American Revolution. All right. So Nicolas Cage was 34 years old when Snake Eyes came out, and now he's 61, right? And Nicolas Cage is a lifelong Catholic, just like Francis Ford Coppola, who is his uncle. If you didn't know that, Nicolas Cage's actual name is Nicholas Coppola. He's the nephew of Francis Ford Coppola. And Francis Ford Coppola's birthday is 4/7. And the more I started thinking about that, I was like, Lincoln was shot in Ford's Theater. Henry Ford died on 4/7 in the year 47. Henry Ford was known for being anti-Semitic, right? And the conspiracy theory going around is that Israel took out Israel, the nation drawn up by the UN in 47. That's the conspiracy theory, that Charlie Kirk was starting to turn his tide on how he felt about Israel, so they took him out. Again, you guys, Charlie Kirk was a puppet on strings, and this is how the Jesuits have always played the you-know-whos. They set him up to be the scapegoat. It's just like you can see who really stands behind the Rothschild family, which means Red Shield, which is like what the Templars used, who were the Jesuits before the Jesuits existed. Again, that whole Rothschild family has been killed in Jesuit rituals. And not to mention, the Jesuit order is what's encoded in State of Israel. But anyway, you learn who really runs the show. It's the one whose calendar you're on. You're on the Jesuits' calendar that says, I'm giving this presentation September 25th, 2025. Again, the Society of Jesus is who the Jesuits are. All this Jesus stuff with Charlie Kirk. He's being martyred. He's turning more people to Christianity. He wants more people religious, less people educated. This is just like how they had it in the Dark Ages, when only the priest class knew how to read and everybody just, did what the church told them to do. But look at it. He was 34 when the movie came out, and now he's 61. And keep in mind, the word assassin is 61, and murder's 34, and Charlie Kirk died 34 days before his birthday. And, of course, Mormon's also 34. He's supposedly shot by a Mormon in Mormonland, Utah. Furthermore, the 246 days after Nicolas Cage's birthday, look how this factors in. Catholic Church, 246. Again, this Catholic family. And look, everybody who made this film is an Italian and a Catholic. This whole family, this whole movie is made by Italians and Catholics. And Illuminati, again, goes back to the Jesuits. It's an Italian word. That's why I don't know why there's so much confusion in the world about who runs the show. It's because there's a lot of, it's just like right now, look at everything that's viral on YouTube is blame Israel. So, and for all you guys that said, you can never talk about the enemy. Well, look, it's the viral thing everywhere, all over the internet. Anyway, nobody's talking about the Jesuits. No, so my video showing it was connected to the Superior General got taken down for hate speech. Anyway, 246 days after Nicolas Cage's birthday, Catholic Church. And we're going to get to how perfectly connected this is with, again, the new Pope, the first American from Chicago, like Charlie Kirk. But yeah, Catholic Church, the small way is also 75, like Charlie Kirk, like Tyler Robinson. If what's the one with fetal alcohol syndrome? What's her name? Candace Owens. She's been talking about how Charlie Kirk wasn't Catholic, and it's only a rumor because he liked to attend Catholic Mass because he preferred the way Catholics did Mass compared to Protestants. I was like, what? Okay, so when he goes to mass, he goes to Catholic churches, but he's not Catholic. And she recently converted to Catholicism, by the way, too. Yeah, if you guys didn't hear her talking about it, she was. Old FAS. I thought, listen to this. Has anyone ever heard of anything like this before? He's a Protestant who doesn't like the way Protestants do it. He prefers to go to Catholic mass. It's unheard of. Okay. Yeah, whatever you say, FAS. The director of this film, Brian De Palma, Italian, 75. And we'll get to his September 11th birthday and why it matters that he turned 85 the day that the shooter Tyler was caught. You remember how much 44 and 64 had to do with the assassination, right? It's the numbers that define what the kill date is. Again, we circle these dates at the start of the year for the entire year. And again, this upcoming month, it'll be October 9th, and it'll be November 8th, and it'll be December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day. They're the dates that have this numerology, 44, 64, 28. And I think I noticed something. Oh, shoot. What was the word? No, it wasn't the word. I forget. Yeah, I'll come back to it. Doesn't matter. Anyway, 44 and 64 were big numbers in the ritual. The last question got was about, gender bender mass shooters and 44 weeks and a day from the election. And anyway, I just noticed Nicolas Cage's Hollywood name also has the 44-64 connection. Nicolas Cage drops the ball in the beginning of the movie. He's flirting with a woman. He's distracted by a woman, and the person behind him gets assassinated. And in fact, he's flirting with the woman who's in on the assassination. And I'm not really ruining anything for you because this all happens in the opening minutes of the film. So, the actor who played Charles Kirkland, we actually covered this in yesterday's stream when we started to look at this. It was the first thing I looked up. I wanted to see who played Charles Kirkland, and it was an Italian, Joel Fabiani. And you can see that he turned 88 this year. He turned 88. And again, 88 was a huge number in this ritual. 88 days after Trump's birthday, the Turning Point USA guy's dead and shot by a Mormon. And, not to be outdone, later that day, a shooting at Trey Parker's high school where he graduated from in 88 when Trey Parker of South Park had just put out the episode of Charlie Kirk on August 6th. And notice, from him graduating from Evergreen, where the shooting happened, Evergreen, Colorado equals 88. Graduated in 88, 37 years before 2025. His Charlie Kirk episode's called Got a Nut, which equals 37, like Utah Valley, like Wednesday. 37 years later. Again, a lot of little interesting things here, but it's Eric Cartman who parodies Charlie Kirk in the episode, and they have this triple overlap. And just wait until we get, and don't forget the school was on the 105th Meridian West. But just wait until we get to how Charlie Kirk's wife lines up with this movie. But yeah, this guy just happens to be 88 at the time of this ritual. He's going to turn 89 if he makes it on September 28th. He better look out. Charlie Kirk's wife, born in 88. So I haven't watched enough of the movie yet, but this guy, John Hurd, who we're about to get to, his character, Gilbert Powell, is based on Donald Trump. And he's one of the people attending the fight. And if you were alive back then, you remember this guy. He was like in every movie in the 90s. He's one of those. That's why, isn't it funny how it was like movies capture time periods? You go back and watch a movie from the 90s, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that guy used to be in everything. This guy found a role in everything. But yeah, it's his character who's modeled after Donald Trump. So I haven't watched enough into the movie to see how they use him other than showing him hanging out around the fight in the beginning. The day the film released was Nicolas Cage's 213th day of his age. That actor who gets shot, Joel Fabiani, his name equals 213. And that is the LA area code. RFK was killed in LA in 68. And you see the 48 too. There's a lot of things I could have written down in this decode. There's a lot of Trump numbers everywhere in this thing. But yeah, Erica Kirk, born in 88. Notice the movie came out 105 days before her birthday. And again, Charlie Kirk equals 105. Like Eric Cartman, like the Evergreen School where Trey Parker went on the 105th Meridian. And then the ritual that Donald Trump did with King Charles on the day, leaving 105 days left in the year. Pope Leo, 105. Remember, they had the shooting hoax at Villanova, 105 days from him becoming the Pope. That's where he went to school outside Philly, the 267 area code, like he's the 267th Pope. Don't forget how when Pope Francis died on Rome's birthday, 21/4, the acting head of the Vatican became the cardinal from Dallas, the 214 area code. And then the Pope died on the 312th day of Trump's age, which is the Chicago area code. And we get the first American Pope from Chicago, where Charlie Kirk's from. But yeah, here's a picture of Charlie Kirk's wife from 2012 when she won Miss Arizona at the Trump beauty pageant, the same year that Turning Point USA was established. And I swear, she kind of looks like people in the Trump family, doesn't she? I feel like there's a blood relation somewhere with her and Trump. And God, something was just so gross about the way Trump was getting all cuddly with her at the memorial. It was just gross. It's like, is anybody else seeing this? But yeah, here's Francis Ford Coppola, you know, the master filmmaker, the great storyteller, the guy who knows how to bring it all together, the theatrics, the irony, just all the great storytelling elements. And, you know, his 4/7 birthday really does stand out, doesn't it? This movie set in Atlantic City, Trump Town. See the 47 and the 79. How old's Trump right now when all this goes down? 79. The 187, like Turning Point USA, like Society of Jesus, like Washington, D.C., like Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, and they do write it with the ampersand, like George Washington, like Holy Roman Empire, like the Homicide Code. By the way, right at the beginning of Snake Eyes, Nicolas Cage's character, who's a cop, he says, we got a 187 right at the beginning after the assassination. He refers to it as a 187. But yeah, we'll get to the movie poster, which says watch closely, 47. Again, set in Atlantic City, characters based on Trump. Trump used to host big fights in Atlantic City at his casino. And keep in mind, just with regards to money, right? So it's one of these money places. Atlantic City's the Vegas of the East Coast. Silver's the 47th element on the periodic table. Gold's the 79th. Trump said we're in the golden era while he's 79. Again, gold's best year in history was 1979, where it quadrupled in value. Francis Ford Coppola, again, Mr. 407 years ago. Abraham Lincoln, shot in Ford's theater. Like I said, Henry Ford, the automaker, died on April 7th in 47. He didn't like the you-know-who. With regards to all the Masonic connections, again, Jesuits and Masons, there's a tight relationship. The 32nd degree of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry shares the motto in Merum de Gloriam with the Jesuit. The Scottish Rite 32nd degree shares the and Merum de Gloriam motto with the Jesuits, and Merum de Gloriam means for the greater glory of God. It's the 32nd degree, like there's 32 sun rays on the Jesuit Order's logo. Goes with the Dodgers breaking the 32-year drought over the Rays, because again, the same people script the sports. But you see how Scottish Rite of Freemasonry is 325? And keep in mind, the Council of Nicaea, where pretty much Jesus was invented, was 325 AD. Predictive programming, 325. Run it the small way, Scottish Rite of Freemasonry is 127, which is the 31st prime, going with Charlie Kirk being 31. But Utah Valley, where the school shooting happened, also 31. And again, just Council of Nicaea, Constantine trying to figure out how to get the Christians to worship under, their sun-worshiping church. Yeah, that was 325 as well. And then notice Tyler Robinson, the supposed assassin, 165. Lincoln Tyler, the executioner in Snake Eyes, 165. Scottish Rite, 165. Donald Trump's birthday is the 165th day of the year. The motto on the poster for Snake Eyes is believe everything except your eyes, 165. In Francis Bacon Gematria, where capital letters make a difference, Freemasonry with a capital F is also 165 for the record. But yeah, you can also see how Lincoln Tyler is 159, like Donald Trump, like Scottish Rite. Again, last year, the assassination rituals with the Secret Service while it was 159 years old. And don't forget, the Secret Service was created the day that Lincoln was shot in Ford's Theater. The second shooting was on 15/9. That guy was just found guilty and supposedly stabbed himself in the neck. Another neck story. And by the way, I should have made that point clear. If you watch the opening of this movie where the assassination happens and you've seen the Charlie Kirk footage of him being shot, you're going to fall out of your chair because it's almost identical. He's shot in the same side of the neck that you see the Charlie Kirk footage, the way the blood squirts out, the way his arms go up and he falls back. It's just way too perfect. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely beyond ridiculous. The dates, the names, snake eyes, year of the snake, the way everything checks out, everything you've seen in the news where they keep talking about all these assassinations from all these years, and here it's all encoded ever so perfectly. Okay, coming back down to where we are. Yeah, and just and look at the pose that Nicolas Cage is doing there, right? Jay-Z's made that one super popular. Jay-Z, who's a Prince Hall Freemason. You'll see Trump pose like that all the time. You see all kinds of people pose like that all the time with the hands. It's another one of these secret society hand signs. You can see how down below it says, watch closely, August 7th. And with regards to 87, you know, there's a number of things that are interesting. You know, the Catholic Church is 87. Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, is 87. Number of the Beast is 87. Remember, they just paid tribute to that on Monday Night Football. Jared Goffin is his 87th win on Monday Night Football, but it was also the Lions' 666th road game. And Lamar Jackson came into the game with the Kobe Bryant 81-point game t-shirt when Kobe did that in his 666th game. And, of course, Mark of the Beast is 81, just like Kobe Bean Bryant. And you can see how Mark of the Beast and Kobe Bean Bryant are both also 54. Kobe died the Sunday before Super Bowl 54. He was 41. Kobe Bryant, 41. His daughter was 13. Added together, 54. LA, 41 and 13, 54. Anyway, the film, it runs 98 minutes. It came out in 98. That's an hour and 38 minutes. What's Donald Trump equal in the most simple cipher? 138, like federal, right? The Jesuit order's birthday, August 15th, the day leaving 138 days left in the year. Again, Trump's birthday, the 165th day, going with all these 165s up here. Donald Trump, again, 60, like Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk dead after the 60th election and 60 weeks and 4 days from the Trump shooting on July 13th, under the 13 stripes, when Charlie Kirk dies 13 years, so we're told, after Turning Point USA was founded. Now, the director of the film, his birthday is September 11th. So that means the shooter, Tyler the Executioner, just like the one he created for his film, was arrested on his 85th birthday in the year of the snake. Snake, 85. The Jesuit motto in their logo, Isus Hominum Salvator. Jesus, Savior of Man, 85. September 11th, 85. And again, just to make sure we got it, snake, 50, just like Utah. 14, just like Utah. 85 for the director's 85th birthday. And talk about a turning point. We didn't talk about September 11th. It was always never forget until this year. It was just all about Charlie Kirk and the surveillance state and the manhunt. The Patriot Act was put to use, but it didn't work. Just the dad turned in the shooter. So we're told. But yeah, again, Charlie Kirk, 31. So these are the 4 base ciphers of the English language. I learned about this from the 1926 book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages. The gentleman who built this calculator, who's not really a gentleman. It's a whole nother story. But, he built it because he got inspired by my work. And when he set it up, I said, how should you do it? I said, put the 4 base ciphers up there, man. Put the 4 base ciphers up there. Because again, this is the system. And back then people would be like, how do you know to use each cipher? Now, for over a decade now, it's been shown. Again, just look at how it all lines up with the ritual. It's not like this cipher is used for this type of decode. No, this is the system. This is the way the words break down, and the numbers from these words are used in the ritual. Snake perfectly overlaps with Utah, 2 of the exact ciphers. The one where it's not an exact match, it's the reversal. Utah, 22. Shooting happens on the 253rd day of the year, the 22nd triangular number. They give you a 22-year-old shooter who took out Kirk on the same day they announced the new Star Trek season. It's just the 60th season of Star Trek, mind you. The 60th season, they got to have that big in the news. I mean, again, this is the system. Remember, Turning Point USA was founded 192 days before the shooting in Newtown, Connecticut, where they had to push to get rid of assault weapons, which is another 192, and on and on and on. So, yeah. Okay. They just couldn't be any more snaky. Snake eyes in the year of the snake. And 27 years later, too, right? That's the ritual number. And where does 27 really gain its significance? It's Saturn's return. Saturn begins its return in the 27th year, and it concludes in the 33rd year. There's a 6-year period, like Saturn's the 6th planet, where the return period is from 27 years later to the 33rd year. And we know both these numbers are very special, like the 33-hour manhunt. What's the Saturn number? It's 93, right? Like the year Charlie Kirk was born. And now they're saying that, he was martyred, crucifix 93. Science says they figured out Jesus' crucifixion date, and it's April 3rd, 33 AD. April 3rd is the 93rd day of the year, and it can be written 4-3. Remember, Jesus Christ equals 43, or it can be written 3-4. Jesus 34, cross 34, church 34. This movie came out when Nicolas Cage or Nicolas Coppola was 34, as we covered. So now the character that's modeled after Trump, he's born in the same year as Trump. He's a little bit older than Trump. He would have been 52 when this movie came out. And notice oh, wait a minute. Hold up. Something's wrong here because hold on. What is going on? Oh, snap. He died. God, I didn't realize this actor died. Okay, this is why I made the mistake. I said, I realized something was wrong here. Okay, so the movie did come out when he was 52, and he died. Wow, he died Trump's first year in office, and he died on the anniversary of the Jesuits being suppressed, which is also yours truly's birthday, July 21st. Okay, so this is a mistake I made, but in a way, it still makes sense. Okay, so he was 52 when the movie came out. And from his death anniversary to the shooting of Charlie Kirk was 52 days. President 52, White House 52, for the record, government's 52, authorities 52, Kabbalah's 52, Gematria's 52, Tree of Life's 52, that's the physical model for Kabbalah, Etz HaChaim's 52, that's the Jewish word for Tree of Life. This 52 number is super special, 52-week year, Pope's 52. So this is the character who's modeled after Trump, who's obviously the sitting president. I got to go back and look at this real quick. Now realizing how he died Trump's first year in office and how this all factors together. No wonder he's not in movies anymore. All right. I wonder if I did a post on this at the time and I forgot. Okay, he died 136 days after his birthday, which is the 16th triangular number, or he died on the 137th day of his age, the 33rd prime number. Remember, the Jesuits have existed since the 16th century. 137 is a special number because Washington, D.C. is also 137. Government, we just said it's 52. It's also 137. Authority is 137 and 52. White House is 137 and 52. So John Hurd died on the 137th day of his age. And he died on the 38th day of Trump's age as well. Trump's birthday is June 14th. So death, murder, killing, RIP, DC on the 38th parallel. I was just saying how Kabbalah is 52. It's also 38. I was saying how Gematria is 52. It's also 38. Gematria, the killing name. Gematria, the practice of coding numbers and words from Kabbalah. Wow. Okay. I got to fix the little typo there about how I have that written, but yeah. Yeah, you know that's not an accident. So if you watched the memorial, Charlie Kirk's friend came out and his whole thing was about how he realized that Charlie was a prophet. He was a prophet. The word prophet's 98. This movie's 98 minutes long and it came out in 98, right? It's also 44. Like Charlie Kirk died on a date with 44 numerology, a date that also had 28 date numerology. And remember, throat equals 28, shot in the throat, then a manhunt. The word kill has that 64, 44, 28 connection, the date numerology. What is it? Utah Valley University is 289, which has a square root of 17. So again, that's the other factor of kill here with where he died. The date numerology was 44, 64, 28, and the location had a connection to 17, which is the same year that John Hurd died. Prophet also equals 91, which is the 13th triangular number. Dead 13 years after Turning Point USA was founded. I was just talking about the 137. Think about the day Trump was shot under the 13 stripes. The 13th day of the 7th month, like 137. The Society of Jesus is also 91, for the record. That's the formal title of the Jesuits. And remember the memorial, right? The memorial had the big 106 connection. The pastor, the first speaker, talked about the Civil War. Again, State Farm Stadium construction began on the anniversary of the Civil War beginning April 12th. The Civil War battle that happened in Arizona was the Battle of Picacho Pass, which is 106. Again, we're in the time of the 106th NFL season. And from State Farm's establishment, it was at State Farm Stadium, to the ceremony was 106 days later. You could also say a span of 107 days. Mahomes, the State Farm athlete who plays for the Kansas City Chiefs, who played on Sunday Night Football, he came into his game with 106 and ended with 107. Just like how State Farm Stadium equals 107, like Bloomington, Illinois, like Charles James Kirk. Again, the day he was shot, Charlie Sheen was on Joe Rogan and they broke down his assassination live. The parallels with King Charles. Again, Charlie Sheen was talking platoon with Joe Rogan before the assassination about Vietnam, a civil war. The last King Charles oversaw the English Civil War. Civil War has been a big theme. The memorial began by talking about civil war. Everything's about dividing the people. State Farm 31. For the record, State Farm's also 103. Like the 103rd NFL season ended in State Farm with Mahomes winning the Super Bowl over the Eagles. That was Super Bowl 57. State Farm as a company is actually 103 years old this year. Remember, the ceremony was 140 days before the upcoming Super Bowl, which will be number 60, like Charlie Kirk 60. A lot of 31s. His Bears won with 31 points over Dallas just days before the Dallas shooting, paying tribute to JFK. You know, the final game that night, 22-9, 31 points, won by the State Farm guy, Mahomes. But yeah, prophecy, 106, right? His friend comes out and says he's a prophet. And it's all synced up with this 98 movie. Now, the man who plays Tyler the Executioner, he's born in 52, right? And his birthday is the day that Trump's ex-wife fell down the stairs and died exactly 60 weeks into the first ever Jesuit Ignatian year. And what that hype sign at the beginning of the movie says, Tyler versus Ruiz, which is another 60. Again, for the movie. But look at where Stan Shaw, the actor who plays him, is from. He's from Chicago. And there's been this huge Chicago theme with Trump that we've been talking about nonstop. Again, Trump who got 312 electoral college votes. That's the Chicago area code. And then the Pope died on the 312th day of Trump's age at age 88. Right? Trump 88. Now Charlie Kirk's dead 88 days after Trump's birthday, and he's a Chicago guy. But yeah, this guy who's instrumental in the assassination At the time he takes the fall is when the shot goes off that takes out Charles Kirkland. But just to remind you, the day that they called the election for Trump, Candyman actor Tony Todd died. Candyman, set in Cabrini Green in Chicago. Cabrini Green, 69. Tony Todd, 69. Next thing you know, you got the first American Pope from Chicago at age 69. Catholic Church is also 69, just for the record. First split-term president in 132 years. 132 rooms in the White House. Named after Mr. White, a Catholic, the architect for the White House. In the very Roman city of Washington, D.C., which was once called Rome on the Potomac. And the land for Washington, D.C. was gifted by a man named Francis Pope, not to be confused with Pope Francis, the first Jesuit Pope. Again, the Jesuits set up camp in D.C. before the feds even moved there. Georgetown's established, and then all of a sudden we get the first recognized president in history, even though it could have been other men who came before George Washington. But yeah, the Tony Todd thing was just wicked. And I'm noticing that Chicago is on the 87th meridian as well. But yeah, Kamala, which equals 42. She got 42% of the Electoral College. Trump got 58. Again, November 6th, the day after the election, was the day they called it for Trump, the day Tony Todd dies. And don't forget, Kamala had the DNC in Chicago. And she spoke there on the anniversary of Huey P. Newton dying at 47, the Black Panther, who was an associate of her father's, Donald J. Harris. And don't forget about the assassination of Fred Hampton in Chicago by the feds. But yeah, it's just, you know, the Candyman character's actual name is Danielle Robitaille, which has that slave encoding, just like Barack Obama, who's also connected to Chicago. And there's been a lot of speculation there's going to be a retaliation of an important figure on the left. And again, I keep thinking about Obama because, you know, he's also from the land of Lincoln, Illinois, how this could all fit together. President Obama, 142, where they had that memorial that was super divisive, where Trump says he hates his opposition. Remember, Trump has the long-standing beef with Obama over the whole birther thing. But that stadium that they started to build, that was on the 142nd anniversary of the Civil War beginning. April 12th, 2003 is when they started building State Farm Stadium. Civil War began April 12th, 1861. Obama born in 61 on the 100th anniversary of the start of the American Civil War. And President Obama's 142, just like Christian is. And that was the other big theme. And not to mention it was on the day leaving 101 days left in the year. Christian's also 47, 61, numbers we talked about in a lot of different ways in this post. Now, again, just to remind you, the day that the Pope died was the 312th day of Trump's age, and then we get the Chicago Pope from the 312. And now Charlie Kirk, you can add to the list of things connected to Chicago. And again, Charlie Kirk, when this movie came out, Snake Eyes, he was still 4, the number of death, only to die 4 days before the sitting Pope's birthday. And then to learn this piece of information that the Pope began climbing the ranks in the Catholic Church, becoming a deacon 44 years to the day of Charlie Kirk being assassinated. Again, shooting 44, execution 44, kill 44. What are the odds? If you missed the memorial, Trump said that he was going to clean up Chicago for Charlie Kirk. Going to clean up Chicago for Charlie Kirk. And you know what that means? You know, military coming in, getting aggressive in predominantly black neighborhoods that have been terrorized by this federal government with its purposeful policies to destroy communities, to put black people in cages so they can be modern day slaves. And see, this is the stuff that annoys me about the right wing is they're oh God, that's BS. How's it BS? When the last mega guy was in there, the last Hollywood actor, Ronald Reagan, did he not declare a drug war in 82? with all these new laws to really crack down on crack and put essentially people that were black in prison for long times for being found with this new highly addictive and very cheap and easy to get your hands on drug that was so widespread almost overnight. You can't see how this worked. A super addictive, cheap drug, widespread overnight in poor communities. Again, there's not just black people that end up in prison, but disproportionately a lot of black people. I mean, to ignore these things, you got to be purposefully turning off the obvious. Trump, who wanted to execute the whole Central Park Five, who were innocent, who's talked about in the past why he didn't like black tenants. I see there's a lot of Uncle T's coming out of the woodwork on YouTube saying Charlie Kirk wasn't racist. Like, have you watched the collages of the things Charlie Kirk said about black people? Pretty sure he was definitely, by definition, racist. He was friends with what's her face? I can always just think of her fetal alcohol syndrome. What's her name? Candace Owens. Yeah, okay. She's an Auntie T. Anyway, coming back to the big ritual. Remember how we started here? We've gone over a lot of numbers, but remember how 63 was a big one here with the year of the snake and 63 days from the Superior General's birthday. And again, the movie coming out 63 days after the assassination of RFK and also Ronald Reagan's death anniversary. So Canelo, the big fight, because this movie had a lot to do with a big fight and an assassination. And we did. We got one of the biggest fights in decades. A black guy versus a Hispanic guy, just like in the movie. Part of the early dialogue is the favorite. He doesn't get knocked down. That's the story with Canelo. He doesn't get knocked down, but he lost the fight as the considerable favorite. Canelo stayed on. There's probably something to him being 35 right now. Chicago number, JFK number. But notice 68 fights, right? Okay, that should stand out. 68. He stayed on 63 wins. He stayed on 63 wins in his 68th fight. How about that? And again, from his July 18th birthday to the shooting, since this is all kind of going together, the shooting, the fight, 54 days. That means that means his fight would have been 57 days later, or the 58th day of his age. Scottish, right? 57. Freemasonry, 58. And I think just in time, my daughter's giving me the sign that I need to come out of here. Hold on. Are you coming to visit? You want to be on camera? What's missing? I'll be out there in just a minute. You want to come in here? You want to come visit? Yeah, but again, I mean, just look how perfect it all is, you guys. They just couldn't have scripted it any better. And again, Mike Tyson was sitting ringside, and they did a sick ritual with Mike Tyson too, because it was his 76th day of being 59, the old slave code, as Terrence Crawford became 42-0. And don't forget, Tyson's 42 as well. Like, he had the 42-1 fight, one of the biggest upsets in boxing history, which no doubt was a setup. Ruby. But yeah, again, I should wrap it up. Spend some time with the sweet girl. And yeah, I mean, the script is deep, you guys. And the thing that I get annoyed about is people going, there's no way man could do this. Do you see how these men are doing the same secret hand signs that are part of these secret societies that are based in knowledge like Kabbalah, where this whole thing of letters and numbers and dates comes from? Yes, man can do this. If man can understand and decipher it, man can also plan it. And, just think about the ruling class that doesn't work. They just sit back and collect your tax money off your labor because you might as well be their slaves. They got time on their hands, Hey, you want to say hi to the people real quick? Hey, you. Okay. Yeah. We'll sign off here, though. But yeah, if you have some additional observations, please leave a great comment. And you got hiccups? I haven't heard any hiccups for a while. Got the hiccups? Okay. But yeah, again, just really, this is business as usual. If you're new here and you never heard of predictive programming and things being in the movies before they come to the news, welcome to reality. This has been going on for all of our lives. Look into all the predictive programming for September 11, 2001. It was a million times worse than this. So, but yeah, this is another big planned event. This is their turning point. And like I told you guys before Super Tuesday 2016, they'd put Trump in there because he was the polarizing, divisive one. And just look at where we are now, more than 9 years later. So thank you very much to the Out of Pocket Variety Show. Chipped in too, said JFK was born in a snake year as well. Good one. Good one. Yeah, every 12 years, it's the snake year. And Richard Quinn says, another win. Appreciate that. All right, guys. We'll leave it there for now. Have a good rest of your evening. And again, thanks to everyone who does hit the like and the share and leave a comment. And until next time, Truth Seeker.